I was transported into a horror game with my best friend. The problem? She was the final boss, and I was just another player. When my cowardly teammates shoved me forward to take the hit, I threw myself into the boss's arms and complained, "Babe, they're picking on me again." Her icy fingers froze against my neck for a split second, then slashed outward in fury, obliterating my so-called allies. With her on my side, I tore through levels like nothing could stop me. Until one day, the game bugged out. Two separate instances fused together. And from across the glitched map, another boss spotted me, shrieked with delight, and crushed me in a hug. "My dearest bestie, I finally found you."
Wait.
If she's my best friend, then who exactly is the boss still holding me? Welcome to the instance, the Lost Woods. Instance difficulty, SSS-Rank. Objective, survive for 1 month. Commencing rules announcement. Rule 1. Never act alone at night. Rule 2. By the time the second rule came up, the truth hit me like a punch. I was actually in a horror game. As the cold, mechanical voice kept speaking, a live chat feed flared to life in my vision. WTF, a whole month? No wonder this one's rated SSS. Most last a week tops. Well, this is the elite squad's run. They like to show off. I resisted the urge to groan and looked around. Years of horror gaming had taught me a solid team meant survival. There were 5 others, 3 men and 2 women. One man was plain, another wore glasses, and the last was broad and heavyset. The women were total opposites. One had blazing red hair and an attitude to match, while the other looked quiet and dangerous. None of them seemed scared. The redhead caught my eye and shot me a glare sharp enough to cut steel.
Great.
Definitely not friendly. I ignored it and refocused on the chat, hoping for tips. Pretty sure this instance has a hidden rule. You've got to sacrifice someone to the boss every 3 days. Wait, is that a newbie? Poor girl. First time, and she drops into Hell tier difficulty. And she's with Carter's team?
Oof.
She won't last 3 days. Before I could even process that, the average-looking man, Carter, strode over and offered his hand. "Hey, rookie. I'm Carter, team leader. Stick to our orders if you want to live." I reached out to shake it, but he pulled his hand back at the last second, smirking. The redhead laughed softly. He was just being polite. Don't overthink it. I bit my tongue.
Fine.
If that's how they wanted to treat me, I definitely wasn't telling them that my best friend was the boss running this whole instance. Dexter, the man with glasses, tried to smooth things over, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. The way he stared, unblinking and reptilian, made my skin prickle. Night fell quickly. The forest whispered and creaked around us, like something unseen was moving closer. I remembered the first rule and stayed near the others, no matter how uneasy they made me. Carter's team worked like a well-oiled machine. One look was all it took for them to coordinate. As the temperature dropped, they built a fire with practiced precision and started roasting rations over the flames. Left out of the loop, I crouched to the side, fumbling to start a smaller fire of my own. Now I understood why the chat pitted me. Every newcomer who got matched with Carter's squad probably ended up like this, ignored, isolated, disposable. It was their first time in this instance too, so they were cautious that first night, following the rules word for word. After eating, they laid down to rest. Then the heavy-set man, Gus, grinned at me. "Hey, rookie. You're on watch tonight." I blinked. "Wait, what?" Gus's smile didn't falter as he gestured toward the fire he'd built a few feet away. "You used our fire to stay warm. It's only fair you return the favor." Ruby, the redhead, gave me a look full of contempt. "You should be grateful. We're letting you earn some experience." The others didn't even bother speaking. They just closed their eyes and drifted off. I was cornered. Sleeping meant leaving myself open to whatever monsters prowled these woods. I still had to find my best friend, the boss, and get her protection before that happened. I couldn't die here. So, I stayed up all night, every rustle of leaves setting my nerves on edge. By sunrise, Carter's team was lively and well-rested, already planning their next objectives. My own eyelids felt like they were weighed down with bricks, but I forced myself to keep up, terrified they'd leave me behind. After that night, they decided I was an easy target. Under the excuse of training me, they bossed me around nonstop. When it came time to claim rewards, they took every bit of credit, transferring the points to their own accounts without hesitation. The chat was full of pity. They're really walking all over that newbie. 3 days sacrifice coming up soon. Pretty obvious who they'll pick. Someone else replied coldly. This is a horror game, not a daycare. Survival of the fittest. Carter's team saw the comments. Their eyes grew colder, sharper. They didn't have to say it, I already knew they'd made up their minds. But I wasn't angry. In fact, I started deliberately testing the limits, breaking tiny rules, doing things I knew would draw attention. Because I couldn't wait for the boss to appear. The next day passed without a single scare. Once Carter's team had mapped out the nearby area, they decided it was time to push boundaries. That night, their experiment involved me. They tied my hands, dragged me to an open patch near the treeline, and left me there as bait. When I protested, the brooding woman, Mara, slapped me so hard my vision blurred. My cheek flared with pain, the taste of blood spreading across my tongue. Then they walked away, leaving me trembling beside the dying fire. Moments later, the forest exhaled a sound like a living thing. The air turned heavy and cold. Dozens of red eyes blinked open in the darkness. Black mist pooled between the trees, and from it stepped a figure, a man with his lower face wrapped in bandages. Behind him, shadows thickened into writhing, tentacle-like forms that tore through the forest floor. Every tree he passed crumbled into dust. The chat exploded. Holy shit, they actually baited out the final boss. Are they insane? This isn't a test run, it's a suicide mission. Carter's team is top 10 ranked. I thought they'd be the first to clear this instance, not wipe themselves out. Carter's confident mask shattered. His voice cracked. Run. But it was useless. The boss was too fast. In a desperate attempt to buy time, they exchanged panicked looks, used an item, and launched me straight toward the monster. The chat went silent for a moment. Poor girl. What a way to go. But instead of screaming, I flung myself right into the boss's arms and whimpered. Babe, they're bullying me again. The tentacles poised to strike me froze midair. The boss's cold hand lingered at my throat, hesitating. The chat lost its mind. What the hell is she doing? Does she have a death wish? That's the final boss. She's done for. And then nothing. The flood of comments stopped dead. Because the boss raised his gaze, stared at the 5 people running for their lives, and sent his tentacles lashing forward. In a blink, they impaled each of their legs. Huh.
No way.
Did the boss just protect her? I've never seen this before.
Ever.
I buried my face against the boss's chest. His body was cold, but solid. Safe, even. I knew you'd never let me down, babe. I said brightly. And wow, this body's the mask type? That's totally my thing. The boss froze. His entire frame went stiff. Carter's team hadn't made it this far by luck. Years of life and death runs had hardened them. Seizing the boss's brief hesitation, they gritted their teeth, tore the tentacles from their legs, and sprinted. But the boss moved faster. Before they even cleared the clearing, shadowy tendrils wrapped around them, winding tighter and tighter. The sound of bone creaking filled the air. Gus let out a strangled yell and activated a glowing item in his hand. A blinding golden light erupted, burning through the mist. When the flare died down, the team was gone, vanished without a trace. The tentacles in midair still mirrored their forms, grasping at nothing before fading. The chat went wild. An SSS-Rank escape item. No wonder they survived. I figured they had some top-tier backup plan. Wait, didn't Carter's squad mostly grind SS-Rank runs? Where'd they even get a 3S? Great item. You can't buy those. The only way to earn one is to clear a 3S instance yourself. Hold up, remember that elite player who joined them last month and then disappeared? With Carter's team gone, the boss quietly retracted his tentacles. The woods fell eerily still again. Shadows lingered, and dozens of crimson eyes blinked from the darkness. Yet, wrapped in the boss's arms, I felt strangely safe. Warm, even. I relaxed completely, scrolling through the ongoing gossip in the chat. Then, suddenly, the feed shifted into a wall of alarmed messages. Is this girl serious? The boss is literally standing there, and she's reading the chat. Boss, Ahem's still here, by the way. She's gotta be broken. Nobody's that calm. Did she really just call the final boss, babe? Dummy. Stop reading. The boss's tentacle is on your leg. Startled, I slapped my leg without looking. Babe, don't interrupt my gossip, I muttered absently. Apparently, that didn't please him. Instead of pulling away, the tentacle coiled tighter around my leg, the cold, slick surface sending a shiver through me. It was a weird sensation, strange, but not entirely unpleasant. Since the chat had quieted down, I finally looked up at him. He was gorgeous. tall and lean, with a sharp nose and messy dark hair that framed his bandaged face. The black outfit clung to him like a shadow, tracing the hard lines of muscle beneath. Only his pale hands and the upper part of his face were visible, which somehow made him look even more dangerous. My bestie really outdid herself this time. This avatar was exactly my type. Still, something felt off. His eyes held a distant, detached calm, and he hadn't said a single word. That wasn't like her at all. My best friend was loud, dramatic, and loved to over-explain everything. Then it hit me. She must still be in shock. Seeing me thrown at her like a human sacrifice would traumatize anyone. She'd lashed out to save me, and I hadn't even thanked her. I just read-chat gossip instead. Guilt prickled in my chest. I wrapped my arms around him and gently ran my fingers through his hair. "Babe, I'm so sorry," I whispered. "I wasn't thinking about how you must have felt." His body went rigid again. Even the tentacle around my leg froze in place. I figured she just wasn't used to this body yet and didn't want to be touched. So, I kept talking, trying to make it right. "Those people were awful," I said. "They bullied me, kept me up all night, stole my points, everything. The only reason I didn't come for you sooner was because I was trying to gather info on them. I wanted to make sure they couldn't hurt us again." He still said nothing. His lashes were long, casting shadows over his expression. I couldn't tell what was going through his mind. I looked up at him with pleading eyes. "Babe, why aren't you talking to me? Are you mad?" No response. I nuzzled against his chest. "You really can't forgive me?" The chat, of course, was losing its collective mind. What is she doing? Does she seriously think flirting will save her? Girl, this is a horror game, not a dating sim. Just because he's hot doesn't mean he won't eat you alive. Does she even realize what a hell-tier instance means? No one's ever cleared it. Yeah, sure. The boss is drop-dead gorgeous, but he's also drop-dead dangerous. Okay, but seriously, he is treating her differently. He even protected her right away. Even X, the top player in the entire guild, barely lasted 5 minutes against this boss, and that was with god-tier gear. This newbie's been alive for 10. Come on, she's clearly a player. What kind of monster spares a player? Maybe he's just saving her for a slow, painful death. The chat was pure chaos. My head was spinning from all the noise. Then, the boss slowly raised his cold, pale hand and gently covered my eyes. "Sleep," he murmured, voice hoarse and low. I peeked through a tiny gap between his fingers, just to make sure he wasn't mad. Our eyes met, dark and deep, his gaze oddly calm. When he spoke again, his tone was hesitant, as if he hadn't used it in ages. "Don't be afraid." So I listened. I closed my eyes and drifted off to sleep. In the chat, madness erupted. What? The boss can talk. And she's still alive. No way, she must be some hidden master-level player. Following this stream, no question. I give it 5 minutes before she dies. Calling it now. I can't believe I'm actually shipping this. Same, actually. The boss carried me with his tentacles, moving each one with surprising care, as though I might break. He brought me back to his lair, where I slept soundly, safe and warm. The next morning, the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was him. The boss had even prepared breakfast. I practically leapt into his arms. "Babe, you're too good to me." My best friend, clearly uncomfortable in this new form, handed me a piece of bread without a word. "Eat," she said simply. The chat lost it. Okay, this world officially makes zero sense. Am I hallucinating from staying up all night watching this? Nope, not hallucinating. I watched too. The boss guarded her while she slept, never tried to kill her, then left before dawn and came back, with bread.
Wait.
Are you saying the boss left his own instance, wandered into X's zone, triggered global alarms, and stole a loaf of bread for a player? I munched on the bread, shaking my head at the chat. Really, people? A best friend grabbing breakfast for her bestie. Is that so shocking? And, for the record, the bread was delicious. I was halfway through when a flash of white light filled my vision.
Huh?
Since when did in-game bread come with visual effects? When the light faded, I was staring straight at a battered Carter and his ragtag team. The boss was gone. Carter didn't look nearly as cocky as before. His team's clothes were torn, faces dirty, and their food packs completely empty. Their eyes immediately landed on the half-eaten bread in my hand. Gus licked his lips, barely holding back. "Newbie, you're okay. We were so worried." Before he could finish, I stuffed the rest of the bread into my mouth. Rule number 1. Never show food to a starving party unless you're ready to lose it. Better in my stomach than theirs. Gus froze mid-smile. The rest looked furious. The chat howled with laughter. First time I've ever seen Carter's team get clowned by a newbie. This is gold. I can't stop laughing. Sure, you'll trigger their fanboys. She's seriously savage. Her team's starving, and she didn't even offer a crumb. Oh please, don't preach about empathy. Where was that when she was starving on the first night, and they ate right in front of her? Before the chat could spiral into another fight, a cold mechanical voice cut in. Warning. Player has intentionally violated the rules. Punishment is imminent. Repeating. Warning. Player has intentionally violated the rules. Punishment is imminent. The voice faded, and 6 identical doors shimmered into existence before us. Carter and his team froze. Their faces drained of color. Clearly, they knew what this meant, but none of them bothered to explain. I didn't ask either. I just waited for the next announcement. 5 doors of life, 1 door of death. Players may choose freely. Enter a door and clear the challenge within to complete the punishment. Then came one last warning. Only 1 player may enter each door. Violators will bear the consequences. The system fell silent again. Carter's team just stood there, unmoving. I followed their lead, pretending to analyze the identical doors, though I had no clue what to do. Finally, they exchanged glances. Carter stepped forward, forcing a friendly smile as he extended his hand to me. I eyed him warily. Whatever he was planning, I wasn't falling for it. I didn't take his hand. He didn't seem offended. Newbie, we might have been a bit harsh before, he said smoothly. But that was just a test. We wanted to see if you had what it takes to join our elite squad. Consider this an official invitation. Let's clear this challenge together. I stayed silent. Wait, is this for real? Carter's elite team is inviting a newbie to join them. She's insane if she doesn't accept right now. If Carter invited me, I'd be crying tears of joy. She should be grateful. Carter's fans flooded the chat, drowning out any differing opinions. When I didn't answer, Carter gave a sheepish laugh. We're all about strength. People have mixed opinions about us, sure, but we protect our own. He smiled disarmingly. If you join, we'll make sure you're well taken care of. I cut him off. What are the benefits? The chat went wild. Every year there's a new lunatic, but this one takes the cake. The Helter boss spares her, and now she's negotiating with Carter's team? She's actually asking for benefits. The audacity. If Carter offered me a spot, I'd pay him. She has no idea how lucky she is. I ignored the noise. After 2 days, I already understood Carter's crew. They didn't want teammates, they wanted tools. They wouldn't invite me unless they thought I had value. And right now I did. They didn't know the truth, that I'd only survived the Helter boss because she was my best friend. From their point of view, though, I'd done the impossible. I'd walked away from a monster no one had ever defeated. If I agreed too easily, they'd suspect something. Carter didn't seem bothered by my silence. Even Ruby, who usually couldn't stand me, kept her mouth shut. 100,000 points, Carter said finally, and 1 SS rank item. That's my offer. Before I could reply, the chat exploded. What? That's what 3S cleared guild members charge for dungeon runs. What makes this newbie so special? You don't get it, our newbie queen is built different. The Helter boss watched over her while she slept and made her breakfast. Yeah, she's practically royalty now. Carter's team clearly saw the messages. The last traces of doubt disappeared from their faces. Ruby even stepped closer, forcing a smile. Hey, girl, she said awkwardly. I've got a bad temper. Had a newbie mess me up once. Almost lost a hand. She showed a faint scar on her wrist. Guess I got a little jumpy. I smiled back. No worries. Better to have a friend than an enemy, right? Carter wasted no time. He transferred the 100,000 points and sent over the SS rank item. I clicked accept. After a few polite exchanges, they insisted I pick a door first, to make up for their behavior. I chose one at random and started walking. That's when Dexter sidled up behind me, voice slick with mockery. What a coincidence, he rasped. I was going to pick this one too. His eyes gleamed, crawling over me in a way that made my skin crawl. I didn't want to deal with Dexter, so I quietly stepped back and moved toward another door. But the moment I chose one, someone else would suddenly, coincidentally, pick the same. Mara didn't even bother pretending. It was clear she was just blocking me. She slipped right through the door I was heading for without a word. In the end, only one door remained. I sighed and stepped toward it. The instant I crossed the threshold, a swarm of black tentacles erupted from the darkness, slicing through the air so fast I couldn't even track them, just a sharp hiss as they cut the wind. Holy crap, that's the death door. So that's their plan. They lured her in, let her pick last, and left her the one no one survives. Once she dies, they can loot her drops. Zero risk, all reward. Classic Carter move. This is how they always rack up points. Ugh, I knew that team was shady. She was interesting while she lasted. R.I.P. newbie queen. The chat was already writing my obituary. But then, the tentacles froze just inches from my face. Instead of striking, they hesitated, twitching uncertainly before gently brushing my cheek. It almost felt like recognition. A moment later, one tentacle wrapped around my waist and lifted me effortlessly. I was pulled up until I was staring into a pair of familiar, deep, black eyes. The boss. His cold fingertips traced my face, eyes filled with quiet confusion, as if wondering why I was here. I didn't miss a beat. I threw myself into his arms, pretending to cry. Babe, they bullied me again. I wailed dramatically. He reached out, thumb brushing the corner of my eye, but found no tears. His brows furrowed slightly, puzzled. They're awful. I continued, laying it on thick. They keep picking on a simple, honest person like me. Before he could react, I rattled off the whole story, how they'd taken all the other doors and forced me into this one. By the time I finished, I was already snuggling closer, taking full advantage of my distress. Babe, if it weren't for you, I'd be dead. What would I even do without you? Is this happening? Can you even ship a player with a boss? Simple, honest person. Sure, January. LMAO, it works though. One babe, and the boss forgets how to function. I told you. He literally guarded her all night and made her breakfast. The boss awkwardly began stroking my hair, his movements stiff, but strangely gentle. When I finally stopped crying, he spoke, voice low and slightly rough. Get revenge.
Huh.
Both the chat and I blinked in confusion. Before I could ask what he meant, the boss tightened his hold, and in the next moment, we phased through the wall, straight into the room Dexter had entered. Dexter was surrounded by the twitching remains of dying monsters. The chat whispered that he liked to toy with his enemies, keeping them half alive before slaughtering them all at once for maximum point gain. Even though I'd played plenty of horror games, the sight of half-severed limbs and writhing torsos still made my stomach turn. The boss glanced at me, then without hesitation, unleashed his tentacles. In seconds, every last monster was dead.
Clean.
Efficient. A golden notification popped up before me. Congratulations to player Lily for earning 20,000 points. The glowing text looked absurdly cheerful against the bloody backdrop. Dexter's face twisted in fury. Before he could speak, a tentacle lashed out, sending him spinning through the air like a rag doll. The boss didn't even look at him. He simply lifted me again and moved on to the next door. Then the next. And the next. Congratulations to player Lily for earning 5,000 points. Congratulations to player Lily for earning 30,000 points. Congratulations to player Lily for earning 9,000 points. Congratulations to player Lily for earning 50,000 points. Each time, the message appeared. Each time, another bruised, defeated member of Carter's team came into view. The boss kept his promise, helping me until the very end. When the final challenge cleared, he carried me straight to the exit. The chat, which had started off in disbelief, was now completely silent. Carter's fans, on the other hand, were fuming. Wait, isn't there a rule about only one player per door? Lily's breaking it. I'm reporting her. The rest of the chat burst out laughing. You could file a report, but it won't change anything. The rule says violators will bear the consequences. She's literally in the boss's hands right now. Isn't that consequence enough? Winky face. This is wild. The boss is doing the killing, but Lily's getting the points. If that's not the system approving her methods, I don't know what is. When the system reappeared, it only stated that the punishment was over, offering no further explanation. The boss had Carter's team tied up neatly in front of me. Then, as if worried I wouldn't understand, he spoke clearly and slowly.
Get
revenge. Ruby and Gus, just regaining consciousness, turned pale as ghosts. I ignored them and gently held one of the boss's tentacles, speaking with mock concern. Babe, that must have hurt. You've been whipping them so hard. Excuse me, what did she just say? That tentacle's harder than a diamond. She's worried about it getting hurt instead of her teammates? Is this girl for real? No wonder the boss likes her. Even I'm falling for this nonsense. I didn't pay any attention to the chat. Carefully inspecting the tentacle, I made sure it wasn't damaged before looking up into his shadowy eyes. Oh, babe, you love me so much, I said with a sniffle. You used to hesitate to even kill a chicken, and now you've slaughtered so many monsters for me. The delusion is strong with this one. Should I send her a clip of the boss tearing players apart? Yeah, share that link. I need to see it too. Even if she watched it, she'd probably say the same thing with a straight face. I'd learned from my mistakes. This time, I focused on comforting my bestie. The boss averted his gaze, the tips of his ears faintly red, or was I imagining that? He stayed quiet. Even someone as fearless as me couldn't stomach all that blood. My bestie was even more sensitive. She must have been traumatized. She used to talk nonstop, and now she barely said a word. My heart ached for her. Keeping all that inside couldn't be healthy. Babe, please say something. Don't hold it in. After a long pause, his low, rasping voice replied, throat broken. Voice, bad. Oh, poor thing. A broken voice, no wonder she couldn't express herself properly. Without hesitation, I opened the shop and bought a divine healing potion for 99,999 points. Unfortunately, it couldn't be delivered until I left the instance. I brushed my fingers lightly over his throat and whispered, It's okay, babe. Once we're out, I'll give you the potion. You'll be able to talk again, as much as you want. He didn't respond. Instead, he lifted Carter's team again and placed them right in front of me, his meaning unmistakable. Revenge. One of the system's strictest rules was that teammates couldn't kill each other. Since I'd joined Carter's group, we were officially on the same team. In a hell-tier instance, breaking that rule was practically asking to die. And the system had emphasized it in bold letters. Violating it would be suicide. Even the boss might not be able to protect me. Still, I wasn't some saint. There was no way I was letting them off scot-free. Since they loved stealing points so much, I decided to let them feel what it was like to have their own points snatched away. Again and again. After discussing a plan with the boss, we plotted out our next week's schedule. Grind points during the day, relax at night. A perfect work-life balance. Carter's team didn't give up easily. They kept trying to sabotage me, but every time, the boss caught on instantly. Each failed attempt ended with them spinning through the air from his tentacle strikes. After a few rounds of that, they finally gave up and switched tactics. They started trying to butter me up. Miss Lily, would you like some fresh fruit? I caught a rabbit today. How about roast rabbit for dinner?
Chat.
This is supposed to be a horror game, right? Wait. So you can actually play it like this. What about all the players who fought tooth and nail to survive this instance? Were they just unlucky? Every time I watch X's team sweating bullets in their stream, I switch here to relax and enjoy this couple's rom-com in hell. I take back everything I said about Lily being delusional for flirting with a horror game boss. She makes it look natural. Even with all the compliments, I barely paid attention. The boss brought me safe food and clean water every day, making sure I didn't lack a thing. But peace in this place never lasted long. One day, a sharp mechanical alarm blared through the forest. Warning! Unknown bug detected. Due to unforeseen errors, instances, the Lost Woods and Castle of Shadows are merging. Technicians are performing an emergency fix. During this period, players must ensure their own safety. The system is not responsible for any casualties. The robotic announcement chilled everyone to the bone. This had never happened before. The system didn't need to say it outright. If you died now, there was no guarantee of revival. Carter's team was full of resentment. I knew that from the way they tried to kill me even under the boss's nose. The moment that announcement hit, I realized if I ever got separated from him, they'd strike. But as much as I feared them, they feared me too. They were terrified I'd command the boss to tear them apart. So, when they suggested splitting up, I agreed, without hesitation. The boss looked confused as they left. Why not kill them? Because of my constant chatter, telling him his voice wasn't that bad, complaining that I was lonely, he'd started talking more fluently. Now, he could even form full sentences. They are dangerous, he said slowly. Not good people. I quickly covered his mouth. Babe, stop talking about killing. That's not cute. My hand lingered, and I lowered my gaze. I'm not a saint, but I can't kill living people. Beneath my palm, his lips moved. I already knew what he wanted to say. I will help you. My best friend really had changed. She hadn't called me bestie in ages. She used to say it every 5 minutes. I once read in a novel that when someone transmigrates, their new body's instincts and memories can affect their personality. My best friend had always been gentle, almost timid. I didn't want her to lose that softness just because she was trapped in a monster's form. I spoke before she could. This place is dangerous enough. Maybe something else will get to them before they ever reach me. Then I smiled at him. Besides, you'll protect me, won't you, babe? He was quiet for a moment, then nodded solemnly. Maybe it was because of the merging instances, but the boss had started falling into deep, heavy sleeps more often. To keep me safe, he moved me into his personal chamber. Every wall was draped in a network of living tentacles, twitching at the slightest sound. Still, neither of us expected Carter's team to team up with players from the other instance. They burned through a 3S-Rank stealth item just to sneak in and managed to grab me before I could react. 1 second, I was sitting by the chamber wall. The next, darkness swallowed me whole. When I woke, my head was pounding. Carter's voice cut through the haze. The deal's simple. We split the loot from both bosses 50-50. But the points on this woman? They're ours. The light was dim, shadows crawling like ink. I blinked, trying to focus. Carter was pointing at me. None of them had noticed I was awake. I stayed perfectly still, pretending to be unconscious as I listened. Not far ahead, a castle rose from the mist, tall, black, and silent. We were in a grove near its outer wall. The player Carter was talking to sounded doubtful. You really think she's useful? You can bait your boss out with her. And if she dies in front of him, you actually think he'll come for revenge? I've been in this guild for years and never seen something that absurd. He paused. Come on, Carter. You're not trying to scam me, are you? Carter didn't answer at first. When he did, his voice was cold and clipped. When have you ever seen my team this humiliated by one newbie? He stood with the light behind him, face unreadable. The other man snorted, rubbing his chin. Well, there was that one time. Ruby almost lost a hand trying to steal that newbie's points. The air went tense instantly. After a few seconds, the stranger waved his hand. Relax, I'm kidding. Let's try it your way. If your boss really shows up, great. 2 birds, 1 stone. If not, no loss. We've got X on our side. The Castle of Shadows boss won't last long anyway. Ruby snorted. Easier said than done. You seriously think X is gonna dirty his hands for you? You can't guarantee that. Another player cut in. The deal was that X would jump in and help us kill the boss at the critical moment. The stranger held up his hands, trying to defuse the tension. All right, enough. We're partners, not enemies. But let's be clear, if your boss doesn't show up, it's every man for himself. Carter's group agreed, though their faces said otherwise. They grabbed me roughly and dragged me up the tower steps, the stone floors echoing with each step. Their summoning ritual for the castle's boss was unconventional. A deafening banging pounded against the heavy metal door, each strike reverberating through the tower and into my skull. Before I could even process what they were doing, they wrenched the door open just wide enough for one person and shoved me through. The air inside was thick with something alive. Strands of impossibly long, silken hair filled the room, thrashing like furious snakes. The moment I stumbled in, they converged into a massive whip that sliced through the air toward me. I braced for pain, but it never came. Instead, there was a thunderous crash as the door exploded off its hinges. I blinked, suddenly cocooned in familiar tentacles, staring up at a bandaged face I'd come to recognize. The boss. Relief surged through me like a wave. 2 voices shouted at the same time. Babe, I knew you'd come to save me. Are you people serious? Is it that hard not to wake someone up? You bunch of idiots.
Wait.
That tone. That voice. It was familiar. The castle's boss blinked, her expression flipping through disbelief, confusion, and sudden joy. Then she shrieked and dove straight at me. My darling bestie, I finally found you. That tone, that nickname, no mistake. It was Ava. Which meant if she was Ava, then who was the one holding me? The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. The boss's tentacles reacted instantly, whipping out to knock every other player unconscious before cocooning the 2 of us. Layers of slick black vines sealed us off completely from the outside. Through the barrier, Ava's voice chirped cheerfully, oblivious. You scared me half to death. I couldn't find you anywhere. I tried to leave the instance, but it wouldn't let me. Looks like you've been living comfortably, though. You called him babe. What's that about? Are you two together now? Oh, did you finally get over your ex? Proud of you, girl. Hey, can you tell your man to chill? I'm not gonna hurt you. It's just a best friend reunion, not a boss fight. I looked up at the boss's face, still turned slightly away, and wanted to scream. Oh, for crying out loud. When we were first dragged into this game, the last thing I heard Ava say was, WTF, how did I become a horror game boss? She never said which instance. I'd ended up in the Lost Woods as a newbie player, and there was no way to contact her. Since we'd been standing side by side when the glitch hit, I just assumed she'd become my instance's boss. And the masked boss had protected me from the start. When I called him babe, he never corrected me. When I teased him for being quiet, he'd just mutter, throat broken, voiced bad. Naturally, I figured Ava's new body must have had some injury that made talking painful. But there were other things, small things, that now made my blood run cold. Every single food item he brought me was something I liked. I'm allergic to oranges, and he never once brought me any. When Carter's team found an orange tree and offered me one, he slapped it right out of my hand like it was poison. He'd glare daggers at Carter's crew, always on the edge of killing them, but he never crossed the line because I couldn't break the system's rules. I thought that was just Ava struggling to control the boss instincts of her new body. Looking back, maybe it wasn't that strange I believed he was her. But then, I remembered the first time we met. After Carter's group escaped, his tentacle had wrapped around my leg. Was he planning to kill me back then? And I'd petted him instead? The chat's jokes echoed in my head. The ones I used to brush off. Was he really saving me all this time, or just keeping me alive for later? The boss didn't move. He was utterly still, watching. He wasn't hurting me yet, but I wasn't about to test how long that would last. Now was my chance to run. If I could get to Ava, she might not be able to defeat him, but together we could escape. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay steady. It's safe now. You can let me go. A tentacle wrapped around my hand. My heart leapt. I thought this was it. He was done playing, and this was the end. No way to escape. I squeezed my eyes shut in terror. Instead of pain, something cold brushed against my cheek. I cracked my eyes open. A hand, elegant, pale, rested lightly on my face. I looked up and met his gaze. He spoke, hesitant, unsure. Why, oh, aren't you calling me, babe? His eyes flicked down at the tentacles still coiled around my hand. They'll like you. You said, I started, but he faltered, clearly struggling to find the right words. A thought struck me. Babe, can you let me go first? I need to talk to my best friend. The boss stared at me for a heartbeat, then released me. Relief washed over me like a tidal wave, and I scrambled into Ava's arms. Oh my God, I missed you so much. I buried my face in her shoulder. Ava hugged me tightly, and the chat, which had gone silent since the system alarm, erupted all at once. OMG. 2 instances merged? People are gonna die. X has escape items. He'll be fine. The others, not so much. Where's the expected bloodbath? Is she really romancing the castle boss already? Does Lily have some kind of irresistible charm system? I thought I was unshockable, but Lily always surprises me. X? Oh no. I had completely forgotten about him in the chaos. I scanned the ground, 10 unconscious players, Carter's team, from when I'd eavesdropped earlier. But Ruby had said X hadn't joined them yet. Before I could warn Ava, a glowing arrow zipped through the air toward her back. Instinct took over. I shoved her out of the way. A black tentacle shot out, intercepting the arrow midair, turning it to dust. In the next heartbeat, more tentacles whipped into the shadows, dragging a man fully cloaked in black to the floor, only his eyes visible. The boss slammed him down. The impact echoed sickeningly through the tower. The man, clearly experienced, blocked his head, pulled off his mask, and swigged a healing potion. Several tentacles trained on him, ready to strike at any sudden move. The boss tilted his head toward me. Kill him. Before I could respond, the man on the ground, X, spoke in a whiny tone. Sis-in-law, you can't be this heartless. Trying to kill your own little brother-in-law. The words hung in the air. My brain short-circuited. The chat? Silent. Even the usual chaos had paused. X ripped off his mask completely. Ava gasped. Julian. Then her hair shot out like a whip, slapping him across the face. You bastard. You just tried to shoot me with an arrow. Julian looked aggrieved. Your current body doesn't look anything like your old self. How was I supposed to recognize you? I came in and saw you hugging my sis-in-law. And those creepy claws, so I panicked. Ava shot back. The name, Julian, tickled something in my memory. I glanced from him to the boss. The chat exploded. X, is that handsome? Wait, he looks so much like the other boss. If you cover the lower half of his face, they're almost identical. One has icy eyes, the other eyes that could make a dog fall in love. I stared at them both. The resemblance was uncanny. But if they were brothers, why did the boss still look at Julian like he'd kill him on my command? And me, sister-in-law? I'd been single my entire life. How did that even happen? The boss's gaze shifted to me. Babe? Kill him. I used to call him babe all the time, complaining that he never said it back. He had tried a few times, stumbling over the word. Now he said it effortlessly, smoothly, and my brain short-circuited. I blinked, forcing myself back to reality. Maybe let's not. I said, tentative. The boss didn't protest. His aggressive tentacles retracted immediately. Julian scrambled over, hugging my legs with mock tears. Sis-in-law, my dearest sis-in-law, you saved my life. My brother was actually going to kill me. Can you believe how hard my life is? Before he could finish, the boss's tentacles shot toward him again. Julian yelped and released me. He doesn't even recognize his own brother, but he remembers to protect his wife. What a lovesick fool, he muttered, pulling out a shimmering golden device. Sorry, everyone, a little family matter to attend to. The chat barely typed SSS-Rank screening device before it disappeared. I had no clue what Julian was doing. The boss moved in front of me, tentacles at the ready. I glanced at Ava, standing beside me, guilt plain on her face. Haha, well, do you see, you lost some of your memories. Before I could question further, a bright white light enveloped me. The next thing I knew, I was in a cold, sterile hospital room. The harsh lights burned my eyes. A doctor, wearing a blue mask, spoke with a heavy heart. I'm sorry. It's a congenital heart defect. It's a miracle she's held on this long. Based on her current condition, 3 days at most. Say your goodbyes. Despair washed over me, centered on a devastatingly handsome man. Gaunt, exhausted, he pressed against the glass of the ICU, staring at the girl on the bed, my face. His hand clutched a pendant so tightly it drew blood, but he didn't notice. He whispered, Lily, I will save you. Just wait for me. Memories crashed back like a flood. That man was Aiden, my boyfriend. In the game, he had entered instance after instance, fighting relentlessly for my life. The moment he had enough points, he didn't rest. He bought a life-for-a-life item. Points in the game could buy anything, even a second chance at life. In reality, my heart began to beat again. In the game, at that exact moment, Aiden's heart had stopped. Ava and Julian had known everything. Before the trade, he had instructed them to temporarily erase my memories to keep me from worrying. But now, inside his memory, I could hear the truth. If I don't make it back, it's better if Lily forgets me. She can meet someone new, live freely. I screamed silently. Tears blurred my vision. He hadn't even asked me. He had decided alone. Aiden had been grinding relentlessly, becoming legendary in record time to earn enough points for his resurrection. That's when Carter's team noticed him. They offered him just enough points to secure his revival. He agreed. It was a trap. They broke the rules deliberately, sending monsters to attack. During a meal, they drugged him. His energy drained. Pretending helplessness, they forced him to expend all his items, leaving him vulnerable. He fought desperately, nearly severing Ruby's hand. But his stamina and mental energy were gone. To finish him off, Carter's team locked him in a storage room and set it ablaze. Half his face burned, his throat scarred. They collected the bounty of points from his death and left, assuming he was gone for good. Julian refused to believe Aiden was dead. He re-entered the game under a new identity, rising to fame as the legendary X. When he finally challenged the Lost Woods, he found traces of Aiden, but by then, Aiden had changed. Consumed by resentment and bloodlust, he killed Julian without a word. Failing a 3S-Rank instance meant massive penalties and temporary bans. Julian could only watch livestream clips to confirm it was truly his brother. Once certain, he began grinding relentlessly, holding on to the slimmest hope of bringing Aiden back. Julian had his obsession, and the monster had his. Aiden's obsession was me. When he became the most powerful boss in his instance, that obsession reached beyond worlds and pulled me into the game. Ava and Julian had seen it coming but couldn't stop it. Ava had chosen to enter the game too, hoping to protect me, but we were separated, and I ended up facing the twisted, monstrous version of the man I loved. He had lost all his memories, yet the first thing he did when he saw me was protect me. The memory ended. When I opened my eyes, I was back in front of Aiden, the lower half of his face still wrapped in bandages. Ava and Julian had quietly stepped away to give us space. Aiden's tentacles curled gently around me. But when our eyes met, he flinched and covered my eyes with his cold, pale hand. His voice trembled. "Don't look. Ugly." I pulled his hand away and ignored his weak resistance. Then I kissed him, through the bandages. My tears soaked the cloth. "You're such an idiot," I whispered through my sobs. "How could I ever think you were ugly?" He froze, still as stone. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand. "I hate you. Who told you that you could decide everything for me? Do you have any idea how much it hurt watching them burn you alive?" In his memories, I had seen everything, the fire, the pain, his final moments. I had thrown myself into those flames over and over, trying to reach him, but it was always too late. He looked utterly lost, fumbling for words. "Lily, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Don't hate me." He was so hopeless. He didn't even know how to touch me anymore. His tentacles retracted, trembling slightly, as if afraid to scare me away. I couldn't stay angry. Even now, if he had to do it all again, he would probably make the same choice, and that was just who he was. I sighed softly. "You're still an idiot." Carter's team had murdered Aiden and nearly killed me. Simply killing them would have been too merciful. But monsters are born from obsession, and they fade once that obsession is fulfilled. Aiden had seen me alive, and that was enough to calm the storm inside him. Only one thing remained: revenge. Julian searched tirelessly for a way to save Aiden, but the method required an unimaginable number of points. So, while we still had time, we made use of the trash. Aiden and Ava forced the two treacherous teams to grind instance objectives day and night. Julian and I didn't have to lift a finger. We just sat back and watched the points roll in. Ava, being a system glitch, a bug, wasn't tied to any obsession. As long as her instance wasn't being played, she could go anywhere. The two instances had started around the same time, so when their timers ran out together, the system failed to fix the merging bug and eventually gave up, creating a brand new SSS-Rank instance. And in the final seconds before the timer hit 0, Aiden personally slaughtered Carter's team. His obsession was fulfilled. Julian and I cleared the instance. Carter's team was marked as dead, and since I was their last surviving teammate, all their points transferred to me. The same happened to Julian. Because Carter's team had died with almost no mental energy left, they couldn't respawn. Their empty shells were now trapped inside the game, fated to be farmed by players for eternity. Julian and I became the first players in history to clear a SSS-Rank instance. The system rewarded us with an enormous bonus. The moment the points hit, Julian transferred all of his to me. I became the top-ranked player in the entire game. On the 30th, the system announced the final rankings. The number 1 player was granted one wish, said to be limitless. I used all my points for one wish, to bring Aiden back. For the first time, the system's mechanical voice faltered. There was a strange, almost human hesitation. Let Aiden remain as the SSS-Rank boss for one day each month. In return, I'll resurrect him for just 1 point. It wasn't a request. It was a decree. Before I could even respond, the system forcefully ejected us from the game. I woke up in the middle of the night. The first thing I saw was Aiden's face, whole again, unscarred. His voice, though still a bit rough, was healed. He looked at me, then quickly turned away, ears red. Then I noticed something new. Even in the real world, he still had his tentacles. They wrapped lazily around my legs and waist, like affectionate pets. He cleared his throat awkwardly. "Sorry, Lily. They really like you. I can't control them." Before he could sink into embarrassment, I smiled.
Good.
"I like them too." He blinked in surprise. Happiness flickered across his face, followed by a bashful pout. "Only them? You don't like me?" he murmured, barely audible. But I heard it. Before he could look away, I leaned in and kissed him. My voice was muffled against his lips. "I like you the most."